However, what I want to point out is the analytics or data skills, right, demanded in the jobs are not really the same. Actually, very different from the analytics we covered in the courses. If you look at some of the well-known data science programs, right, let's not mention their names. Essentially, what I was saying is a statistic program, right? But if you look at the jobs, when they mention, data-related skills, it's actually very different from statistics. For example, when people talk about uh, data skills, right, in the job descriptions, right, 41% of the jobs were saying, right, data reporting, dashboards, right, and visualization. That's the most important data skills, right? Bigger percentages than all the statistics. Now, statistics is also very important, right? 30% of the jobs mention predictive analytics, like forecasting, causal relationships, and so on, right? And another 30% of the jobs, right, mentioned data interpretation, storytelling, and insights. These items are not mutually exclusive, right? The jobs could mention the first, also the second one in the same time. So they do not sum up to 100%. And about 26% of jobs mentioning investigate, diagnose, and root cause, right? Many times we don't know what was happening, right? And 17% of jobs mention descriptive analytics and statistical analysis, right? And finally, we also have about 15% of the jobs mentioning data integrity, management, and manipulation. So as you can see, statistics is important, but it's not equal to data analytics. It's much broader and includes many other skills. Let's also look at how many courses were covering these skills. So essentially, we're going to compare between demanded versus covered, right? Between the job market demand with the courses we covered. Right here, let's focus on these data analytics skills, right? The first one, right, I highlighted in red, right? The first one is reporting, dashboards, and visualization, right? As I said before, right? There are about 41% of the jobs require these skills. So the light blue bar shows the percentage count of the jobs requiring these skills, and the dark blue bar, right, shows the percentage count of the courses, right, covering this skill. Now, the courses data come from the same study, right, where we collected about 2,000 courses data from top 32 supply chain programs, mostly in US, right, which is about 60 programs. You can see that reporting, dashboard, and visualization is quite undercovered, right? 40% of jobs require that. Only 15% of the courses were covering this skill. Now, this is not the worst case. Now, if you look at predictive analytics and forecasting, causality, right, we're actually doing a better job here, right? 30% of the jobs require this skill, about 20% of the courses covering this skill. Now, if you look at data interpretation, storytelling insights, right, 30% of the jobs require this skill, but 15% of the courses were covering this skill. Now, we did actually a very good job in terms of here, if you look at descriptive analytics, statistic analysis, so on. Now, investigate, diagnose, and root cause. For this skill, about 26% of the jobs require it, right? We only have about 5% of the courses covering this skill, right? As you can see, of course, the curriculum varies, right? For some skills, we cover a lot, but most of these data skills, we don't have enough courses covering them. Now, that's the first mismatch I find. A second observation I want to point out is if you look at the jobs carefully, the job requirements carefully, we find problem solving and problem definition are almost equally important. So what is problem definition? That is the employees will take initiatives, right, to find problems, to diagnose problems, right, to define objectives. It turns out almost no companies wants to hire puppies, right, who has to be told to do things. Let's say you have employees, you have to give them a problem, define a problem for them to solve. And companies want people, right, who can take initiatives to define and solve problems. Let me give an extreme example. This is the quote from Steve Jobs. He said, if you define the problem correctly, you almost have the solution. The point is clear, right? In jobs, in practice, right, knowing which direction to go, right, is sometimes more important than knowing how to get there. And this is a technique we do not often covered, right, in our curriculum. Right, that is define problem, right, determine the objectives, right, not objective function, okay, but overall the objective of this company, for example, right, knowing which direction to go. Let me give a brief summary. So we observe a strong demand for data and analytic skills out of these 10,000 jobs. We find some mismatches between our curriculum and the job market requirements, right? Specifically about some data skills, right, and problem definition skills. We will design a new curriculum, right, to cover these mismatched job requirements